Hello and welcome to another part in the Rideshare application that we are developing. In the last part we have built the registration form. Now in this part we'll submit this form to save a new user. So we'll be using the endpoint we have created several parts ago. The endpoint on the API, which is /users, to submit this form. So in our code, here if we go to the front folder, which represents our front-end application, then we go to the SRC, and then we have in the components, we have the registration form. Now here, in the onSubmit handler, which is a function, here we'll be submitting the form to the server, to the backend API, using the fetch built-in method of JavaScript. So first we'll make this function asynchronous, then we'll await for fetch, which take two parameters. The first one is the endpoint that need to submit to, so HTTP localhost 3001, which is our local development server /users. Now of course this need to be saved in an environment variable, because on the development server it will be another URL. So for now we'll just test everything is working fine, and later on we'll store it in an environment variable. Next we have here the options. The first option is the method. By default it is get, but here we need to change it to post. Then we have the headers. Here we need to set the header content type to JSON. So we'll set the content type to application/JSON. Next we need to set the body that will be sent with this request. Now for the body we'll use the JSON.stringify the values, all right, the values which we receive in the parameter by the forming package. All right, so here we have prepared the fetch. Now we need to store the response received from fetch into a constant. We'll name it res. All right. Next we'll set the submitting to false at the end. So here, after we awaited for the response, we'll set submitting to false, which signifies that we have done working on the request. Now for the fetch we have, if you are used to Axios, Axios will handle the transforming the response into JavaScript object. Here we need to do it manually. So after we get the response, what we need to do is add another step. Here we need to await for res.json to transform the received string into a JavaScript JSON, so we could work with it. And we'll store the result here into a constant. We'll name it data. So now the data contains the final response into an object, a JSON object. All right, now, and before testing, what we can do is wrap the fetch along with the data transformation into a dry catch. And here in the catch, we'll console.log for now the error. All right. Now the response is a response, whether it's 500 or 400 application error, it will not it will not be catched here in the catch block. We need to handle those cases here by checking if res, if not res dot okay, so which means there's an error. What we can do, we can throw a new error, and the content of this error is actually the data that we have parsed. So the error also is an object, so the error will be the data. Here in our case it's dot message, because if you remember in the API where we are creating the endpoint, which is here, all right, the slash users endpoint. So here we are sending errors with message. We'll fix this also. It need to send the error with a message. So the format is always a JSON that contain a message. And one more thing I need to fix here in my application. Here I'm specifying the status to 500 for the application errors, the validation errors, and this is not right. It needs to be 400. Any application error, 400 mean an application error, 500 mean server errors. All right, so please fix this to 400 instead of 500 concerning the HTTP status. All right, so now let's give it a try in the browser. This is our form here. If I save, all right, I get the errors as normal. So I'll fill in here some information, my name, my email, and before submitting I'll open my console to check any error. And I can see here I have already an error for concerning the class. So it must be somewhere in our application we are using class. It is, I guess it is in the home. So if I go to the pages home, here it is. Instead of class we need to make it class name for React. All right, here again, class name. If I reload, or also there is somewhere else, also here class name. All right, so now if I reload, I get rid of the error. Again, let's go back to submitting our form. Email, password, password. Now let me type here any password, because on the front end the only restriction for the password is that it needs to be more than 8 characters, so I don't need to put some special characters for it to be valid. So if I save, what do I get? I get a validation error and a 400 bad request. Now concerning the validation error, if I go back to my API code where I'm throwing the error, in my backend here I can also console.log the errors to see what I am getting. So if I save again and check the backend here, as you can see, I'm running the backend here also in another terminal. So the backend was already running when I started this video, and here we can see that we have error. It's error. And if we save again, check the console here. First name is required, last name is required, wrong password. So these are the error, the validation error for the first name and last name. As you can see, there is both the back end and the front end validation are not synced. So in the front end we have only the full name. In the back end we are validating for first and last name. So we'll fix this by removing both and keeping only the user.name. And concerning the password, the validation here is checking for strong password. So this will modify the front end to restrict the password, the weak password. So in the front end, where we are validating the password, which is here, we will change the min to match, which allow us to make a match against a regular expression, which we provide it in the parameter. So new regexp, and we provide the regular expression, which I copied. Now I need to provide my custom message, which will be password must be between 8 to 15 characters, which contain at least one lowercase letter and one uppercase letter, one numeric digits, and one special character. Here the match is matches actually with S. All right. So now again, if I test the front end, if I type any password, I get the password must be between 8 to 15 characters. The message I have just specified, so I'll choose a valid format for the password. Now if I save, what do I get? I get another duplicate email, which is great. So back to the back end. Here we have a case of the duplicate email. This is coming from the MongoDB, because in the MongoDB, where we are creating the collection users, we have specified an index for the email, which is unique. And since the email, this one here, is already available, registered in the database, we get the error duplicate email, which I am sending here in the user's endpoint. I'm checking if the message has the E11000 duplicate, which is another code sent by MongoDB. In that case, I'm sending an error with the message duplicate email. So in my front end here, to inform the user about this case here on the front end, so he can verify his email or change it, what I can do is back in the submit handle here, where I'm checking the res.ok, then I'm throwing the data.message, and here I can make a check for the message. If it's duplicate email, I can react to it. So if error dot message equal duplicate email, as it is written here, duplicate email, I'll copy paste it to make sure there's no typo. Now if it's that case, what I need to do, I need to render a message on the front end. Now here come the formic to the help. Here in the on submit handle, I can get the set field error. All right, this allow me to set an error for a specific field. So here I can call the set field error on the email field and set the error I need. The text for this error will be email is already in use. And alright, email is already in use. Now if I test again the save, alright, I get the error, the email is already in use. Let me change it to 2. Alright, this is a new email, and if I save, what do I get? I get nothing, because I haven't created any feedback for the success case. But I can go to my database and reload or refresh. I can see that a new user has been created. Now let's clear the form once it is saved successfully. So one thing is left to do is to reset the form once we successfully submitting. To reset the form, forming also comes to the rescue by providing to us a function called reset form. Alright, this function, all we need to do is calls it once we have successfully, after the check for error and throw error in case there is an error. So at the end of the process, we'll reset the form. So in case there's an error, alright, we will skip the reset form and we will go to the catch block, so the form won't be reset. It will only reset unless we have a successful case. So the reset form will reset the form. Now if I save, alright, I get email already in use because Salim Dirani 2 is already saved. Now let's use 3 and save. Alright, as you can see, the form has been reset, and in the database, if I refresh, I can see a new user with the new email. Now concerning the reset form, actually it's not necessary. Later on, as you will see, we need to redirect the user once he successfully created his account. We need to redirect him to the next step, which is adding a profile image. And of course, we will be sending him an email so he can validate his email. This is for the next videos. So before ending this video, one more thing is left, some cleaning here concerning one of the input here. I'm not using the field, which is a helper provided by Formik that I'm using for all the other fields except the last one, which I forgot. So I replace the native input with field, and I get rid with the handles for blur and on change, which they are automatically set by the field helper. So in that case, I will remove from the parameters the values, the handle change and handle blur, which I don't need it anymore. Alright, so that's it for this video. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.